And you've already answered the next question. What level of success you had. You mentioned pretty often it's successful, at least in getting some kind of help. What would you say the pros and cons are of hiring a lawyer to defend you versus representing yourself or a public defender? Or...
Well, I believe Abraham Lincoln said it also. You should never represent yourself. Even a lawyer shouldn't represent himself. So anybody who goes to court charged with any kind of a crime, let alone a driving while intoxicated case, should absolutely have a lawyer. And not only should they have a lawyer, they should have a lawyer who deals with DWIs. Again, there are a lot of things outside the court that will affect them. Their employment, if they have special licenses as a stockbroker or a pilot's license or a commercial driver's license, those will be affected. Their employment in and of itself. There are certain reporting requirements that people need to make. And it continues on outside the court.
Okay. So what have you learned about people's behavior and their reaction to being arrested and prosecuted for DUI? What insights have you gained into the human side of the process?
Interestingly enough, most people are concerned with their driver's license rather than are they going to go to jail.
Really? Okay.
And people should understand that driving while intoxicated, people do go to jail for these. And again, a lot of that comes from what they have said and what they have done during the arrest process. Again, an aggravated driving while intoxicated in New York comes from a blood alcohol reading of 0.18% or more. Right. Without furnishing that reading to the government, that can't be charged. But people should be very concerned. I think the majority of people are concerned that they have been arrested. I don't think they treat this lightly, which is good. It's important, but they have to understand that it is a crime.
Right.
It's not just a traffic ticket. They're going to be going to court. That it is a crime, although majority of people, especially first-timers, will not be going to jail. It doesn't mean you can't, but they should treat it very seriously. Make sure that they do everything that their attorney tells them to do.
Right.
And they should obviously seek an attorney as quickly as possible.
And you were saying that the loss of license seemed to be the most upsetting or impactful or serious thing to people?
Right. On Long Island, public transportation is an issue. So without having your license, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to get to and from work, school, doctor's appointments. But New York State has compensated for that by saying most people are eligible for conditional licenses that will allow them to get to and from work, to and from school, to doctor's appointments. But again, you have to know if you're eligible, if you're not eligible, and that's where an attorney comes into play.
Okay.
But without having a license, most people are terrified of that more than anything else.
Okay. It's important to know. Is there a particular story that you keep hearing from your clients over and over and over?
The majority of the people are, I wasn't doing anything wrong. The police officer pulled me over and he said that my speech was slurred. He said that I was speeding. He said all the traffic things. I hear the same thing over and again. I only had one drink. I only had 2 drinks. What people should realize is that we live in a society now where people don't want us to drink and drive at all.
Okay.
So although it's not illegal to drink and drive, it's only illegal to have a certain percentage of alcohol in your blood at the time that you operate.
Right.
So most people need to be very careful. They should not drink and drive if they can avoid it. Have a designated driver. But a lot of times people come home with the designated driver and then go back out to the store to get milk or cigarettes.
Okay.
And then I'm only driving 2 blocks, I'm only driving around the corner, and that's when they have the encounter with the police.
Huh, okay. They say a lot of accidents happen, a few miles from home, so I guess this is the same type of thing.
I've had people that crashed into the tree next door.
Ugh.
I've had people who've come home, gone back out to the store, and then were waiting at the traffic light on their way home, and somebody else rear-ended them. That's how the police came to the scene, and they were arrested for the driving while intoxicated.
Right.
So unlike other crimes where people actually go in and they steal something or they actually commit a crime, some of the circumstances of DWIs are just unavoidable. You could be as careful as possible, but there are still other people on the road and other obstacles. And that's we hear a lot of that with people getting caught that way.
Yeah, it's important to know. Okay. So do you feel the current DWI punishments are too harsh, or are they too lax, and why?
I think the current punishments, at least in New York State, are too harsh.
Okay.
Again, we're talking with people who have committed not a crime, but a mistake. And is it fair for somebody who makes a mistake to possibly lose their job, lose their earnings? I think that's harsh. Does everybody need to have an intoxilock device in their car to take a breathalyzer every time they get into a car just because they're coming home from their child's wedding and this is the one time that they had a problem? I don't think so. Certainly, repeat offenders need to be dealt with, but even repeat offenders who are sick, again, alcoholism is a disease. It's being sick. It's not a crime to be sick. They wouldn't put you in jail if you kept getting pneumonia or the flu. But if you can't beat your alcoholism and your addiction, they're going to put you in jail. I think that that's ridiculous. I think these people really need to be in rehabilitation. They need how to deal with their alcoholism, not to be off the streets for a year or 6 months or more, and then be released back into society, still without having the help as to how to handle whatever the trigger was that made them drink in the first place.
Sure.
So the punishment in DWI cases definitely does not fit the crime.
Okay. And I guess, what do you see as the future of DWI in terms of punishments and the amount of people that are offending?
Well, the future is scary. I've read articles, I've seen people talk that the latest is letters to the editor telling us that every car that comes out of Detroit, every new car should come with a breathalyzer device in it to stop us from ever driving drunk. Does that mean that they're going to eventually put governors in the car so your car can no longer go faster than 55 miles an hour? I see our civil liberties being at issue. I think our society has become a very frightened society. We've been scared to death. Hearing about if you drink and drive, you're going to kill somebody. Everybody's being killed by drunk drivers.
Right.
People are being killed by drunk drivers, and people are being killed by sober drivers. So I think that society needs to take a step, and we need to educate our public. We need to educate our children, our future drivers, not to do these things. But throwing people in jail and making the punishment more harsh and making the breath alcohol reading lower, that doesn't solve the problem. That just creates a bigger problem.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be having much effect so far.
No, again, because we're not criminals, we make a mistake. You go out for dinner and you have a glass of wine. It was not your intention to go out and drive drunk. It's not your intention to go out and commit a crime. Right. Unlike people who go to the store and steal something, that's their intention.
Right.
But if you go out for dinner with couples, if you go to celebrate a wedding or an anniversary or a party, it is not your intention to do wrong. You may have made bad judgment. You may have made a mistake, but you shouldn't be punished more severely than the person who actually goes out and intentionally commits a crime.
Right. Lastly, so what makes you and your firm unique in providing DUI defense, and what statement do you want to make to all the potential clients that are watching this video that are considering hiring you?
Well, what makes me unique is I'm a member of an organization called the National College for DUI Defense. I spend a tremendous amount of time staying up on the latest technologies about what makes DUI cases, how the government researches and what tests they use, so I know as much as they know. And then, using that knowledge, we can look into any problems that there may be with the case, and we can educate our clients. With that knowledge, you separate yourself from attorneys who don't have the time or the desire to specialize more in this field. And with that knowledge, I can use it to educate my clients, tell them what we need to do to prepare their defense, and go the extra mile, take the extra time, spend more time in court to convince the prosecution that this person actually needs a break, this is what the story is, and have their cases handled accordingly.
Okay, very good. Well, thanks for taking the time to do the interview. I appreciate it, and that's it.
Thank you.